Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Chris and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the biggest mistakes that I made starting a homestead. I'm just going to give you my main ones that I did that I feel like can help other people who are just starting a homestead or wanting to start a homestead, who hasn't done research, all the things. I'm just going to give you my experience and my biggest mistakes. So number one would be not learning the skills that I would need to run a homestead before I got a homestead. So I lived on a property in town and it was a really small house, but it had quite a bit of land with it. So I could have started way before I ever got our homestead. And with that being said, yes, I was cooking from scratch every single day because I worked in a restaurant, and also that's just something that I enjoyed. I always loved to cook. But I'm talking more about like baking, fermenting foods, canning foods, all the things that I would need. I didn't even start doing that stuff until I got to our homestead, and that was a huge mistake. Along with raising a garden, we had all that land at our previous property, but I never even started a garden. I did a few potted plants. I should have been working my skill and my craft that when I got to where we were going, I would already know how to do these things. Another thing in that scenario is I wish I would have been more educated. I wish I would have educated myself more, because growing up, we had all these things, the cows, chickens, pigs, goats, all these things. So I just assumed, oh, when I get to my homestead, I'm going to be able to do this and it's going to be fine and I'll just know how to do it. No. Yeah, it was challenging because I had to humble myself down. The next thing that I want to talk about that was the biggest thing for us is fencing. We bought a property that had about 11 acres with it, but where we got our property was mostly woods, and we hadn't cleared out the woods yet. So we had little sections here and there where we could put smaller things. However, I was like, we'll wing it. It's going to be fine. We'll just free range everything. Mind you, we had already gotten goats, chickens, a pig, a sheep. Yeah, it was not good. It was a nightmare because they acted like we raised them from when they were very little. So they had their little sheds and their houses out in the woods and up in the field, and they would act kind of like dogs. We would let them out during the day. They would roam around the yard and go to the neighbor's house and see him. They would greet the FedEx driver, but we never kept landscaping. My yard looked like absolute trash every day, and the goats would get up on our porch and use the bathroom. And if you've ever tried to get the smell of goat urine out of patio furniture, it's almost impossible. It's a nightmare. Everything smelled horrible, and I was trying to chase these animals down if like a car would go by, and along with like chasing my two toddlers around. It was very hard and discouraging. So we ended up selling everything. We butchered the pig, the cow was butchered, and we just kept our bird flock. And another thing with fencing is we also got cattle. And because I knew that there was no way to keep cows in, I leased property up at my grandparents' house, which is about 35 minutes away from where we are. And if you know anything about cattle, you have to check on them daily, sometimes twice a day, because cows can get into everything. They're so destructive. So that was just unrealistic for me. I wasn't able to keep up with our property here and the animals here, and then try to drive 30 minutes a day with two toddlers, working a full-time job and other jobs on the side, and take care of cows. So I had to set myself down basically and rethink the entire thing, which brings me into my next one. Start smaller than you think, because the one thing that happened to me was I got really discouraged, because in my mind I thought, oh, well, I have to have all these animals and have this big garden to call this a homestead. And that was not the case. I feel like if you're learning a new skill every day, if you're trying new things every day or every week, it's going to be fine. You're working towards what is going to be sustainable in the end, instead of rushing into it, getting all these things, overwhelming yourself and getting discouraged and just trying to quit altogether. We have slowly started adding things back. We just recently got peacocks and turkeys and added ducks with all of our chickens. We have about probably 40 chickens. And then we butchered our pig earlier in the fall of last year. So we are slowly getting things back, which has been a whole lot better and a whole lot less stressful, because we did get fencing up in close to the house. Now up in the pasture, we haven't done that yet. We do have a lot for like pigs or goats if we wanted to get those back, but I'm honestly not sure if we will at this time. The number one thing that I do want to get is an A2 dairy cow. That is my biggest goal for this coming up year. I want to do that because with the dairy cow, I can do so much: cheese, butter, have milk, all those things. And also when she's bred, if she has a bull calf, we will use the bull calf for beef in the fall. So that is our main goal. We have a friend who is a butcher. He does his own meat processing. So we're keeping pigs with his pigs at his property and just feeding them. So that has worked out so much better than having the pig here, because our pigs did end up getting out, and we live about 1.5 miles off any state maintained road. So our pig did not come back towards the house. It ran in the woods. So it took us about 5.5 hours to get the pig, get it back. So it was a nightmare. So where he has his, it's a whole lot more fenced in and structured, and so it works better for us to do that. So my last thing would probably be, don't compare your homesteading journey to somebody else's, because you never know what walk of life they're in at that season, and you can get very discouraged very quickly. I feel like social media has kind of led us to believe, oh, homesteading is the life, it's beautiful, it's perfect. Okay, it can be all of those things. It's amazing. However, what we don't see is your cow slipping, falling, needing physical therapy. So you and your husband are going 2 times a day, 30 minutes away, to try to do physical therapy on this cow, and lifting it up in a sling to try to get its legs to move again, and it passing away. You know, we don't see your goats having a disability and going into a full-blown seizure, and you trying to give it mouth to mouth. Those are the things that we don't see, and social media doesn't really show us. So everything that we do behind the scenes is extremely hard work. And so that's why I feel like, don't compare your journey and your homesteading journey to other people's, because everybody's is different, and that's okay. And I think that's what makes it really beautiful, because everybody has a different story to tell. And one day, if you're wanting to start your homesteading journey, then you will have your own beautiful story to tell your family and your grandkids and kids and all your relatives to come. So, well guys, that wraps it up for this video. If you like this, I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I make new videos every single week on homemaking, homesteading, motherhood, and everything in between. And I will see you guys on the next one.